Hi YouTube, I'm Laura from LauraGYOGA, and this is our beginner's video to learn the 5 most important seated postures. And actually, it'll be 6 seated postures because I'm sitting in hero pose right now, so this is a bonus. Hero pose is just bent knees, hips sitting on your heels. And I'm going to flip over and come into Sukhasana by crossing my legs, just like that. So if you haven't done yoga before, this might be a little bit uncomfortable. You're not used to sitting on the floor, the hips feel a little bit tight, so I'm going to grab a pillow. And you can kind of see where my knees are right now. And what I'm going to do is lift up and sit on this pillow. And you can see my knees drop a little bit. Makes it more comfortable for your hips if your hip muscles are tight. The most important thing is that your spine is able to lift straight up out of your hips. If you feel like you're sitting like this and your shoulders are hunched forward and your belly is rounded and you're sagging into your lower back, then you need to put more props underneath your hips so that you're up a little bit higher and you can really lift and straighten. Because the idea is that we want to make room so that we can breathe freely, that our diaphragm can move, that our rib cage can open and close when we breathe. Because our breathing is the most important thing that we do in yoga. I'm going to keep the pillow out for the next one, which is going to be our seated forward bend. And I'll go long ways for this one. But same idea, I'm going to put it right underneath the edge of my pelvis so that it kind of tilts me forward and makes sure I avoid that rounded posture. I'm up really straight, my spine is lifted out from my hips. And I can even bend my knees for this one. So our seated forward bend, we're going to start out in staff pose, which we talked about in the video about foundation poses. And I'm going to decide if I straighten my knees and my back starts to sag, then better to keep my knees bent and stay lifted through my upper body. I'm going to inhale, take the arms up, and as I exhale, reach forward to keep my spine really long and keep my chest open. When you come into your forward bend, make sure that you're not doing one of these, hunching forward and scrunching the shoulders up. We want to keep the shoulders down, lengthen through the neck, and really long spine. Create space. Just like I was saying in Sukhasana, you want to make sure that you have that space in your body to breathe. If I'm crunched forward and I'm really pressed into my legs, it's going to be hard to take a full deep breath. So that's why I stay a little bit higher and I reach out farther. And then if you come here and you feel like you have more space to open, then you can start to straighten your legs. But if they stay bent, that's fine too. I'll take a few slow, deep breaths here. And I'm going to take my inhale to come back up into sitting. I'm going to draw my right foot back. And the foot's going to go against my left inner thigh and just let my knee drop out to the side. Again, check your posture. Make sure that your spine can lift up really nice and straight out of your hips. This is another good one to keep a prop underneath you so that you're lifted more. Then I'm going to inhale the arms up. Exhale, fold over my left leg. This is Janu Shirshasana. This is our forward bend with a little bit of hip opening going on here. And what I want to do also is look at this foot here. So there's a tendency that if our leg isn't working really hard that the foot's going to flop out or flop in. We want to make sure that the toes are going straight up toward the ceiling, that the foot is actively reaching away. So there's this lengthening that's happening through my leg as well as the lengthening that's happening through my chest and through my spine. I only fold to that point where I feel like I can keep some length and I can keep space to breathe. If I start to collapse and start to round into it, I'm really closing off the space around the lungs. So it's not going to be as relaxing and as restorative as it is when I keep myself lifted and try to fold more like a hinge from your hips when you go into forward bend. Take my inhale and come up from that. So let me turn this way. And of course you're going to want to do that on the other side, but for the sake of this video, just to show you each of the poses. I'll keep it to one side. I'm going to open my legs out wide. Now I still have that prop underneath my hips. I still have my pillow there lifting me up. Again, this is a pose, especially this pose, where people tend to sag like this. So if you feel like your posture is somewhere around here, get another pillow, put it underneath your hips, and then lift up and out. Lengthen your spine up from the crown of the head. Feel length in the back of the neck. Feel an opening from the belly. So I like to talk about the relationship between the belly button and the pubic bone. The pubic bone is the front of your pelvis, and if they get really close together, then you know you're sagging and you're pushing into your lower back. If you can keep that open and long, then you know you're lifted and you're not sinking into the low back. So that's a good reference point to think about in this pose. Check your feet. Make sure they haven't flopped out or flopped in. Keep them really straight and tall. And then I'm going to start to very slowly walk my hands forward. Again, we're going for that hinge action. We want to go from our hip joint as the hinge rather than curling forward. We're just kind of folding. And that keeps all that space in here for me to breathe into. When the breath is really slow and deep, that's when we get that effect, that settling of the nervous system, that feeling of calm that we really all seek when we're practicing yoga. Take your inhale, let it roll up your spine. Let it create more length, and as you exhale, maybe there's a bit more space to fold forward into. You'll feel as you breathe, you get a little bit more space every breath to move into it. And let's take our inhale to come back up. Now we're going to do a twist, and just for the sake of simplicity, we'll come into Sukhasana with our legs folded in like that. And then we're going to take the arms up. And you can feel as the arms go up, there's really good space to breathe in because it opens the ribcage out to the side. As you take your exhale, right arm is going to swing behind you, left hand goes to the outside of your right knee. And what we're trying to be careful of, and I'll show you this from the side so it's a little easier to see. A lot of times when we do our twist, we have that sag into the back, so we don't want to round like this. We want to be up straight, and we can use the back hand to give a little push. And you can see how that lengthens me as I rotate around. The other thing you want to be careful of is that your shoulders aren't leaning back or leaning to the side. You want to feel like your shoulders are directly over the top of the hips even as you're rotating. And then let your neck be part of that spiral. Let it rotate around the top of the shoulders. Take your inhale, feel the lungs come back up to center. Exhale, left hand behind your back, right hand to the outside of the left knee. Give a little push into the back hand to lengthen up. Lift out of your lower back. And as you exhale, rotate the head around just as long as it's comfortable for your neck. And as you settle into what looks like stillness in the pose, there's actually little tiny movements happening with your breath. So every time you exhale, there's more softening so you can rotate farther. We'll take our inhale, lift up. And just to finish it out, we'll take an exhale and walk our hands forward. Nice forward bend over our Sukhasana. Try to find length through the side body, through your rib cage. You'll feel a nice stretch in your lower back here. Take your inhale, walk yourself up, and then if you want, you can switch the cross of your legs so that you get even opening on both sides of your hips. Then you can go back into your forward bend. But that is the end of our 5 most important seated poses for our beginner yogis out there. If you have any questions for me, feel free to leave a comment. If you want to contact me through my website or by email, please do so. And leave me any requests that you want to see videos that I can do for you in the future. Thanks, and have a great practice. If you enjoyed the content, go ahead and click the like button. And if you'd like to see more videos like this, go down and subscribe to my channel. And if you have any questions, comments, or requests that you'd like to see for videos coming out, feel free to contact me by my email or through my website. Thanks, see you next time.